So hello and welcome to the Expat Pod. My name is James, your host, and today I'm joined by Peter. And Peter, you and I met through a podcasting agency. You put us in contact. You kind of shared that you spent some time abroad. So if you would like to kind of share where you're from and where you've lived and what you do, that'd be great.
All right. So I'm Peter. Like I said, then I lived in the UK between 2013 and 14. Then after that, Istanbul, that's in Turkey for a couple of months. Then back to the UK, Leicester. First it was Coventry, then it was Leicester from 2019 to the pandemic. I'm from Nigeria, Port Harcourt, Nigeria. That's at the southern part of Nigeria. Then I'm an IT consultant, so yeah, I work remotely, so I'm able to work from anywhere. So that's just a summary.
I was in Coventry today. I live in Leamington Spa.
Ooh, wow.
Yeah, it's really cool.
I have so many memories from Coventry.
Yeah, I was living like 10 minutes from you then when you were here. Because I've lived in Leamington Spa since 2017. I lived in Coventry during COVID for a year.
Wow.
So hello, I'm in section 1 of the podcast, all about getting there. So Peter, you briefly kind of discussed that you went to, from Nigeria to the UK, and then on to Turkey and back again to the UK. If you'd like to just share about your initial kind of move, what did you need to do, or what was the kind of motivation for wanting to leave or live abroad?
I'm from Nigeria, so I think they have this thing that when you finish your university, you're not complete until you have a master's and stuff like that. So I think it was mostly pressure if I look back at it, because when I finished my uni, I started my business then, a web hosting business. But then everybody was like, oh, you should do a master's. I applied for a scholarship then. That was in 2012 and I got it. So January 2013, I came to the UK. That was my first time in the UK. So I think that was basically how I got there.
Oh, nice. And did you look for all over the country for different scholarships or different universities, or what was the kind of process for going, I want to do a master's, I want to find a scholarship? What was the kind of the steps you needed to do?
Okay, I actually applied for two. One was from the federal government here. The second was from the state government. So the first one I didn't get that, but the second from the state I got it. So basically what they wanted us to do was to apply to the schools. I applied to two schools then. I applied to RGU in Scotland, but there was a delay. I was supposed to come in September 2012, but there was a delay with funding and everything, so I couldn't make it till January. I lost the admission. I had to apply, look for another school, and Coventry was the one that could give me an admission for January. So that's how I ended up there, basically.
Very nice. So does the Nigerian government sponsor a number of students every year?
The federal government does, but then the state used to, but it no longer does that anymore. But then they used to sponsor, at least it was about 50 people a year anywhere in the world for masters, then undergraduate. I know they used to do more people, but I can't remember how many. But that was back in this, and they stopped it around 2016 or so.
So there's no scholarships anymore for anyone, or?
Yeah, it's just the one from the federal that is still there. But it's a really big country. We're almost like 200 million people, so the competition is really high.
And what was that process like? Did you have to kind of submit your transcripts from your bachelor's degree and write an essay? What was the kind of process for that?
Okay, first of all, I found it in the newspaper. I used to read newspapers a lot back then. So I found it in the newspaper. Then we had to make an application, submit, your transcripts from your undergrad. You had to have a 2-1 and above. They had a limit. Yeah, you had to have a 2-1 and above to apply for that. So once I was done with that, you write an exam, aptitude test. You write an aptitude test. Then what they did was that the best two, what we have the federal government, we have the states. It's like in the UK, you have the UK, then you have the counties, and you have the councils, so the local governments. So what they did was each local government, the two best people from each of them were who they sent. So we wrote the aptitude tests, two best people from each they sent out. So that was it. So then we applied to the schools, had to send the transcripts across and everything. The schools gave us was it a CAS or something that we used to apply for the visas? Yeah.
Oh, wow. And what was the visa process like? Because obviously Nigeria, you get a somewhat close relationship. So what was it like when you applied?
Okay, for that, it was a scholarship. So basically, the government handled everything. I just had to, they just had to call me that we are going to the state, the capital of the country, to do our biometrics, submit our passports. I did that. Maybe like a month or so later, they called us that, okay, the visas are ready, time to go. So that was basically it. But I know apart from that, when I had to do visas on my own later, I think I had to submit documents like this thick.
Oh, wow. Was that also for the UK or was that for Turkey, those big visa documents?
Yeah. The Turkey was actually much easier because the first visa I had for Turkey was an I've forgotten. If you have a UK visa as in Nigeria, you can get an e-visa for Turkey. Back then, I don't know if it's still the same now. So then you just go in on their portal, you put in your UK visa details, and in 10-15 minutes you get a Turkish visa. Then the second one I got to stay there, it wasn't as complicated. So it's as complicated as the UK process at all. It was a bit straightforward, yeah.
And then when you came back to the UK after living in Turkey, what was your motivation for doing that? Was it a job? Was it family? Was it friends?
Yeah, it was family. My ex was schooling in the UK then. My ex was Canadian, so she moved to the UK to study law at Leicester University. So yeah, so that was the motivation then.
And was going to Turkey, was that for a job? So we could be going back and forth.
For Turkey, no, I just wanted to change. I visited there the first time and I actually loved it. I loved it because, first of all, the food was a lot like what I had back in Nigeria. It was spicy. We had a lot of rice. We had a lot of meat. And that's what I like to eat. So, yeah, it was spicy. The people were friendlier. I think everything was it felt a bit like home, away from home. So I said, oh, I have to go back. I have to go back here.
I guess it's probably a much warmer climate and...
Yeah. I always had that. I think the first time I went to the UK, my course was from January 2013 till January 2014. I submitted my project January 2014. You won't believe on the 4th of February I was back home. I couldn't cope.
Did you come back to graduate then?
No, I didn't. I just didn't want to. I'd had enough.
I mean, that's fair enough. It does get cold. But our story was quite bad in the UK. Then I moved to northern Sweden, to Sweden, not northern Sweden, southern Sweden. And that was even colder than Malta, which, and then I worry about, people who live in the north of Sweden, it's like minus 40 degrees Celsius or minus 25, but all the time it's, not seem like a fun place.
That temperature thing was something I took a while to get to terms with, because when I was first living in Nigeria, they told me it's cold, it's going to be cold. Here in Port Harcourt, it's, I don't think it ever gets, I've not had it below 20 degrees Celsius. So when I have cold, maybe if I turn on my air conditioning, it takes me down to like 16 or 15. I feel that's cold. So when I was coming to the UK, I used KLM, passed through Amsterdam. That was January, passed through Amsterdam. And they opened the door of the aircraft in Amsterdam. And I'm like, what the hell? It was like they put me in a... Like, it was like they put me in a freezer. Like, I wore this thick jackets and it wasn't doing anything for me. No, it was something else.
Was there anything else you needed to do before you moved?
Okay, yes. There was a lot I had to do. First of all, I think I mentioned I had my businesses here. I had my web hosting business. That was online. That was not a problem. Then I had a barbecue business. So that was physical. So I tried to set up a system so the business works without me, so everything is a bit automated. But unfortunately, that didn't work out, because like 3-4 months after I moved to the UK, I had to shut down the business because it just wasn't working. It just wasn't working anymore. Yes. So apart from that, my apartment, I had to give out my apartment, my car too. Had to get rid of that and everything. Then get cash so that when I come over, it would be easy, because I didn't have a bank account then.
Oh yeah, of course.
So I think so that was basically what I had to do. I think for accommodation, I funny enough, found accommodation when I got to the UK.
Right. Did you not get support from the university or anything?
No.
That's quite a shame because usually, especially international students, would get like student residential housing or.
Oh yeah. No. I think what happened was that the student housing was more expensive, and they were paying our accommodation cash. So I wanted to save some money, so I said stay out. So that was it.
Well, we'll get into a bit more than how you found your accommodation in the next section.
Yeah.
So apart from that, the same for Turkey. Was there anything you needed to sort out before you moved to Turkey? Did you have accommodation sorted? Did you stay in a hostel to begin with? What was your kind of plan before you moved to Turkey?
Okay, I think Turkey was a bit easier because when I first went there, I think I made a couple of friends. I think they're really, really friendly. I made a couple of friends like people I met at the bazaar, the taxi driver, I stayed in about 3 hotels because did a bit of hotel hopping. So the proprietor of the first one, we even talk till now. That's really interesting. So I think they made it really easy for me. But I think the biggest issue I had with Turkey was getting a SIM card. Because for some reason they don't. I don't know how the system is, but they don't really allow people just traveling and buy SIM cards. So I had to ask around, and they said there's a special traveler SIM card with Vodafone or something like that I had to get. Yeah. So it was later on when I went there, when I had the card there, that I was able to get my own card, because that Vodafone SIM, a week after I returned, the thing was blocked.
You're spending too much time on it.
Honestly, and the funny thing, the SIM I got, T-Mobile or something, it was a pink colored network back then in 2013. I still have it till now from the UK. So you can just imagine the difference.
I don't think there's anything more you needed to add. I guess did you have to do language tests for universities or anything? Or for Istanbul or for Turkey, did you have to learn any Turkish?
No language tests for Turkey, but I think that was one challenge I had with Turkey because I speak only English. I don't speak anything else. And the second time I went there, I found it weird. There were more people who could speak French than could speak English. So a lot of the time, I had to use Google Translate, type something out, translate it, and show them on my phone, like, okay, this is what I want. You had really few people, maybe only the hotel owners or the bazaar traders that could speak a bit of English. So I think that was really weird for me because I think other places that traveled to, I found it, even France, Amsterdam, I found really easy to communicate in English. Yeah, so for Turkey, that was, yeah.
I have a friend from Nigeria as well. He showed me about, is it pidgin English?
Oh, yeah.
The difference between pidgin English and English. And I was like, wow, this is incredible. I didn't know this language existed.
Yeah.
The BBC website has a translation, or like they write.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, they actually have a BBC pidgin service too.
Yeah, this is incredible.
Yeah, they do.
So welcome to section 2 of the podcast, all about being there. So Peter, this is where I kind of asked my guest initially, if you could tell me what your first impression was like of moving to the UK the first time. How did you feel? I know you said you got off a plane in the Netherlands, in Amsterdam, in Schiphol, and you were already experienced some cold. Did you have a similar experience when you got to the UK, or were you like, oh no, okay, I'm used to this now?
No, when I got to the UK, it was actually much warmer. So I'm like, okay, cool, good. At least I'm grateful I didn't have to stop at Amsterdam. So I think we got down, we had to get a taxi. I can't remember the airport I stopped at then. I think it was Birmingham. So we had to take a taxi from Birmingham to Coventry. There's black cabs. So it was like, oh, wow, nice. You see them on TV, and I'm in one now.
Oh, they're very expensive as well.
It was. Then I think I landed. I didn't really shop for warm things before coming because it's tropics. You can't really see anything warm here to buy. So yeah, so that was the first thing I had to get some things, and I got them really overpriced because I didn't know where to shop. Just went to a shop close to me. Then what were my first impressions? I think the right-hand drive system, I probably got hit like 10 times because it's left-hand drive in Nigeria where I come from. So when you're crossing, you look this way. But when I go to the UK, I'm looking this way and the car is coming from this way. I had to get used to that.
I just look both ways. Always doing this,
Honestly, I think I had to get used to that. The cold was okay till the snow. I liked the snow actually because when I compared the snow and the summer, I ended up preferring the snow because, when there's summer, everywhere gets moody. All the insects come out from their hiding places and everything. So it's a bit annoying, but cold everywhere is just, I prefer the cold. After a couple of this thing, then I think one other first impression I got was compared to where I come from, Nigeria is a bit communal. Like if I step out of my house, you're greeting everybody till you get to where you have to go to. But when I got to the UK, it's like everyone is minding their business. I stay in a house for maybe a year, and I don't really know my next door neighbor because everyone just wakes up, goes to work, comes back. You don't really have that interaction. So that was one thing I had to get used to. One other thing. Yeah, I think basically that. Then the food.
We know what's coming now.
The food, I think I ended up having to eat mostly Chinese food mostly when I was in the first time I got to the UK because Nigerian food is spicy. We use a lot of pepper, we use a lot of salt and all that. And then I'm eating the UK food and it's not that spicy. So it was, I couldn't really agree with it. Then, water, having to drink, I think the tap water for some reason didn't agree with me because I realized when I drink the tap water, my stomach makes noise like for 2-3 days. I had to, anytime I get to the UK, I drink bottled water. I can't drink tap water for some reason. I don't know why.
I think it might be treated differently because I think...
right?
They're both drinkable. It's just there's different treatment methods which our bodies aren't used to. So it'll probably be a few months of uncomfort or discomfort. And then you'll go, actually, I'm getting used to this now.
Well, because I noticed it, I feel like for the first 3-4 days, my stomach was just rumbling. I'm like, what's the problem? Then I went to Tesco, got this, it's still bottled tap water, I guess, but it didn't happen. So I'm like, okay, it's the water. So that was where I stopped drinking the tap water. So I think those were the things, I noticed.
It's interesting because like in Coventry, there's Fargo village.
Fargo's Ford.
Yeah, there's on that road, there's so much amazing food, but maybe it was after you left, so I don't know.
No, I actually stayed on Bramble, that's next to Fargo's Ford. So yeah, that's where I used to get all the food from. I really got fat then.
Because I think what I've seen, like, maybe it's not Nigerian, but definitely like African cuisine is
yes.
That's quite a generalism because it's a whole continent. But I think it's West African. Because I got a friend from Nigeria who shops there as well. He says he gets the food he has from home, and it's like, oh right, so it's just really good like world markets and supermarkets there.
Yeah,
get quite interesting ingredients which we're not used to in the UK. But obviously with the UK being such a multicultural and diverse country now, which is amazing, you get exposed to all this amazing food. So that's why I try and go quite a lot to Fargo Village. And always try and find something different. I don't think I've tried Nigerian cuisine actually, so I will have to go and search for it. But my girlfriend hates spicy food, so she might not like it.
So it might not be that bad though, depending on what you try.
Again, I guess going for Turkey then, what was your first experience of that? Obviously you'd been as a tourist. When you went to live there, how was that different to what it was like as a tourist?
I think first of all, I spent a lot less because going as a tourist, I spent almost all my day in the bazaar. So I was always buying things. Living there was a lot more boring. It was a lot more boring when I look at it because first of all, that language barrier was there, so I couldn't really relate to like a lot of people you meet. The closest you get was French, and I don't. I studied French in school, and it didn't stick. No language sticks with me for some reason. So
this could be my ignorance, but isn't French quite a popular language in Nigeria as well?
Yeah. I think in school, like in primary school, it's usually mandatory to study French. So you have the Je suis, to air, and all that. But for some reason, I learn everything, and once I'm gone, everything just goes out. So yeah, I think the language barrier was the main thing. The food was good. Food was cheap. Turkey is really cheap. Everything in Turkey was actually really cheap. The food, honestly, like for some things, even cheaper than back in Nigeria. Nigeria is really, really, really affordable when you look at it. So the food, everything was really cheap. Then a lot of places to go to. I think one thing I really loved, I love when I was younger, when I was a child, I used to read a lot of Greek history and these old stories and cool. So usually when I travel, I want to go to places that have stories like that. So I think that's what made me go to Turkey, because the first time I went there, I saw where they had the head of Medusa. I saw the Bosphorus. I saw different things, and I'm like, oh no, I need to
explore this more.
Yeah, I need to come back. So yes, I think that was mainly what made me come back, because I just wanted to really experience the place. So yeah, just see those different things, those historical places. They tell me, oh, they had a war here like 1,000 years ago. I'm like, nice.
Yeah, well, I guess Istanbul was Constantinople, right? And that's obviously quite a historical city for trade and everything. So that's really
for the I think for the Romans or so.
Yeah. And the Ottoman Empire as well, I believe.
Yeah.
That's great. And then interestingly, going back to the UK the second time, were you prepared? What was the second time like?
I felt like, because first of all, I already had my bank account there, so it was easy. I had my SIM card, so at least I could just call from the airport and everything. I had my Oyster card for London. I knew my way around and everything. So going back was just traveling and just going in. I was a lot more prepared then. When I got there too, I registered my business then too. So it was just, everything was just easy. Everything was a lot easier.
And how did you like Leicester compared to Coventry? I know they're not miles apart, but...
Leicester and Coventry, I think they're basically the same to me. Because I stayed close to the city centre for both of them. I think the only place that was really different was London. London was like Lagos in Nigeria. Every hustle and bustle, and everybody is just so agitated, and you can't climb. Just so many things different. But I think Leicester, Coventry, they're a lot more relaxed there.
Yeah, London is a different beast. I'm from the north, and when I was younger, I'm like, why is it so busy? Because I'm from like a village effectively. So like you were saying about in Nigeria, everyone knows everyone. That was kind of my childhood, and a lot of Britain is. I think the more remote you go, the more you know everyone. So in like a town or a city, you know no one really. A town, you know, a handful of people. A village, you know everyone.
Everyone, true.
But yeah, London was, because London's like 12 million people, which doesn't sound like a lot globally, because it's like...
No, but the space is really small.
Well, yeah, there's more people in London than in Sweden in general, and Sweden is like 3 or 4 times bigger than the whole of the UK. So yeah, it's quite scary. Going back to your kind of experience then living abroad. Well, how did you find socializing? So obviously you went to university first time. Was it quite easy because you're mingling with loads of other students?
Oh yeah. It was actually really easy to socialize when I was a student. Really easy because first of all, about how many of us? About 6 of us came on the scholarship to Coventry. 6 of us came there, yeah. So the rest of them went to Scotland, different places. 6 of us came there. So first of all, we at least could talk with ourselves and all that. Then over time, going to class, met other people. I think most of the people I met there were mostly schoolmates and cool.
The people you moved with from Nigeria for the scholarship, the ones who went to Scotland, did you still speak with them? Did you compare?
Oh yeah. I did.
Were they even colder here? You know, the food's even worse?
I think Scotland was Amsterdam standard.
It can be quite tough. I guess when you finished in your studies, what was like socializing after that? Was it through networking events, or were you working for yourself still the entire time, or did you work for a British company?
No. Once I finished, I didn't stay. I think I stayed like 2 or 3 weeks and came back home.
But the second time, when you moved to Leicester, were you just still working for yourself?
Yeah. When I moved to Leicester, I was working for myself. I had my company registered back then in Leicester. As a business owner, I had to network. I had to go I used to go on, what was that, Meetup? Was it meetup.com and Eventbrite? So I'll just go on Meetup, Eventbrite, look for local events and all that. I know they used to have one, Leicester Hackspace. I used to love it then because it's my kind of thing. Yeah. So you just go in there, you have the 3D printing machine, you have different things, so you can just play around with different, and that's my type of thing. I'm a DIY person. So most of the time I'll go to the hackspace, stay there. Then I used to work out from, because I had the option of working from home, but it wasn't really working for me. So the university, DMU, the Montfort, they have this innovation center where you can just come, like a co-working center, you just come in and work. So yeah, I met a lot of people there because some people come in, work some days, work other days. Yes, so I was able to network there, network on the Meetup and Eventbrite. Then yeah, it was actually a lot easier networking when I got back the second time.
Very nice. That's incredible. So when you're living in the UK or even in Turkey, what was your kind of experience of homesickness? Were you going home often? Were you speaking to your family often? What was that all kind of like?
Oh yeah, I spoke to my family often. I always at least once a day I try to reach out, either on text or through calls. But for homesickness, I don't think I really, apart from the first time I stayed in the UK, that was towards the end, and I think that was because it was school. I really get stressed when I have to study. So when I look back, I think that was my issue because I ran away like 2-3 weeks or so after the school was done because I was just fed up with it. I think, but the second time I was in the UK, when I was in Turkey, I have this way of feeling at home wherever I am. So I really enjoyed both times. I think UK, I think the only issue was maybe the weather. The weather, it can be all over the place. It can really be all over the place because you can wake up in the morning, it's raining, and then you put on a jacket, you go out, the sun comes out like 10 minutes later, and she just does so many things at the same time, and it's always so dull. But yeah, apart from that, yeah, it was really good.
And the food, second time was better as well? Or?
Yeah, I think the second time, I am probably after Turkey, I started exploring more. I think if it was bad, I'll just probably add a bit of pepper and salt, and I'll be good.
The great tip.
Yeah.
And then did you explore much of the UK when you were there? Did you go traveling around?
Yeah, I did. Yeah. I think one of my favorite things is traveling. I think probably it's just a pandemic that slowed me down because UK, I was in Wales. I went to Cardiff. I went to Newcastle. I went to Scotland. What do they call the place? Glasgow, and the other one,
Edinburgh.
Edinburgh. That was like nine hours from Coventry. Then I went to Bournemouth, where you have the beach. Went to London a couple of times. I went to a lot of places actually. I went to a lot of places.
Manchester, Liverpool.
Yeah, no, Manchester was just next to me. I used to go to Wolverhampton, like 40 minutes away. Nottingham, called Robin Hood. I heard of Robin Hood. I wanted to go to Nottingham. So yeah, I actually went to a lot of places. I love exploring actually, so that's my thing.
Yeah, were you using the local transit trains, or were you driving? Did you have a car? How did you get around?
No. I used the trains all through.
Yeah, they've probably got a lot worse since you left.
Yeah, I think there was once I've forgotten where I was coming from. I think it was Newcastle, so I can't remember where I was coming from back to Leicester. And then I don't know what happened, and the train just wasn't available. And then we had to use a bus. I know it was just a really horrible trip. I got home like maybe 3 a.m. or 4 a.m. in the morning. I was supposed to get home by 10 p.m.
Yeah, that's not ideal. You got home. That was the main thing.
The most important.
And then you got a great story.
That's something I tell people that traveling. I think I heard it somewhere before that traveling makes you speechless, then turns you to a storyteller.
That's a great way of seeing it. I'll recycle that comment.
Like I just recycled it.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, the whole thing was still like an artist. Right?
Yeah.
Wonderful. Is there anything else you wish to kind of talk about in terms of your time living abroad? Did you feel welcome to in both countries? Did you feel that you were able to go on with local people as well in both Turkey and the UK?
Yeah, in the UK, yes, because I had a couple of friends. I still have a couple of friends from back in Leicester, from back in Coventry, more from Leicester than Coventry. So yeah, then Turkey too. I think, but I feel the Turkish are much friendlier because most of the time I'm really introverted, so I'm not usually the one that will reach out and try to be friendly. But in Turkey, you always have people trying to just come. Maybe you're sitting eating your bread and they come over. Oh, where are you from? Oh, what are you eating? Oh, are you a footballer? Oh, this, and the conversation just comes up. It happened a lot in Turkey.
Did you ever like mess with him saying, yeah, just sign for Galatasaray?
I think I'll do that next time. Then just get an autograph and something like that.
Because I know when I moved to Sweden, it was quite difficult at first to make friends with Swedes because I thought the English are super social. Obviously not. Because in Sweden, they're very kind of insular. They look after themselves, which is fine. I wasn't used to it. Which is why I tend to ask a lot of my guests about, were most of their friends either internationals or were they a good mix of locals and internationals and things. So that's great to hear. In Turkey, it sounds like a wonderful place to be in terms of they're not having to worry about talking to people because you can go a whole day without saying a word if you're in a new place. Did you do kind of many like social activities when you were there to like make friends? Did you join a sports club? Did you join you said the Leicester hacking space was one of your main things to do?
I think it was mostly most of my socialization was the hack space, then the what do they call it, the innovation center, just basically work. I used to be sports averse then. I only got to enter the gym the first time in my life last February, so then that was that was out of the question.
Glad to hear it now, and and you'll be an Olympic bodybuilder soon, I imagine.
Hopefully.
Great. Well, is there anything else you want to talk about being in either Turkey or the UK in terms of the life in the countries itself?
I think the only other thing is just probably the price differences in everything. It always used to shock me.
I mean, that's a fair comment. Like the cost of living. Cost of living is a huge thing, especially if you work for yourself, because your income came from elsewhere, right? So the income level you had was the same in Nigeria as the UK and as in Istanbul.
Exactly.
So did you find you had to do more work in order to survive in the UK, or?
Yes. I actually okay. What happened was the first business I had was in Nigeria when I went to school. But we've been having this exchange rate issue, so the currency has just been devaluing so much. So the second time I went to the UK, that's why I registered my business in the UK, because the Nigerian company, it's a bit closed out, the economy. So it's really difficult getting payments and all those sort of things. So that's why when I went to the UK, I just set up my company there. So at the end of the day, most of my clients came from Canada, from the US, and a bit from the UK. So it was, it was actually a lot better. It was actually a lot better doing it that way.
But are you still running the same business now?
Oh, yes, I am.
Now as a Nigerian company, or is it the office still?
No, I still pay tax to the HMRC. So annoying.
Interestingly, when you moved to the UK, were you having to pay tax in Nigeria at all, or
what happened? So mostly my company tax I have to pay to the UK from what do they call it? Corporate tax on the corporation tax on the profits and all that. So when I first moved to the UK, I was not resident the first time. Then later, I think before I had to start fully paying taxes. I moved back.
Because like in America, for instance, if you left the States to live in another country.
Yeah, you're taxed everywhere.
So I wasn't sure if it was a similar situation for you in Nigeria or not, but it sounds like...
No. Nigeria has double taxation treaties everywhere. So they have one with the UK. So if I'm resident in the UK, I pay my taxes in the UK. If I'm resident in Nigeria, I pay my personal taxes in Nigeria, but everything else I pay where the company or the customers are for the VAT and sales tax.
Great. I guess that's kind of all we have to discuss in terms of the being now, unless you have any more nuggets of information you wish to share.
No, that's all.
Wonderful. We'll get on to the next section then. So welcome back to section 3 of the podcast. So Peter, this is where I kind of talk to my guest a bit more about the kind of a recap of the time. I know we kind of done that briefly in the first part of the podcast, but in terms of if you can go back in time to when you were first moving abroad to the UK or Turkey, and give yourself one bit of advice that would help, what would you kind of say to yourself?
I think if I was to give myself one bit of advice, I think it would be to immerse myself more in the place. Like I never learned the Turkish language or anything. I and my Google Translate survived through. So I think it. It would be to immerse myself more. I traveled, but I didn't really get myself into the cultures. Like for the first time in the UK, I refused to try the food. But yeah, I think for now, recent me will try anything. I think that's it, yeah. So I have more experiences.
And that's a great bit of advice for anyone. I think it's always to go and push outside the comfort zone, especially if you're abroad, because it's the only way you're going to meet people or see things or make stories. You know, I did find sometimes I would find myself just like watching British TV in my flat in Sweden, and nothing was different because I finished work and I'd be so tired and I'd be like, I just want to watch something that I don't have to think about in a language that I know very well, as opposed to Swedish is very difficult. And I imagine Turkish for you is also some of that is a headache, right? And if you would kind of give some advice, if someone was to leave Nigeria to, I guess, explore living in a new country, what would you kind of advise them?
Okay, I think like for the past few years, it has really been popular for a lot of Nigerians to move from Nigeria to the UK because the economy has been weird, really weird, really weird. So I think what I usually tell people is before you move, because a lot of them move and they don't really know things like the cost of living, how much it costs. Because like for instance, I stay in a two-bedroom flat in the center of the town. What I pay for this two-bedroom flat here for a year is what I'll pay for 2 weeks in Leicester, not in London.
Really?
Yes. What I'll pay for a full year. So it's I think how much is a pound now? I think it's like £600-700 for a year.
That's nothing. Oh, wow. Okay. Yeah. I'm moving to Nigeria.
And it's like it's in the center of the city. It's not like it's a remote place or anything. Everything is walkable and everything. So I think the only issues maybe people complain about here is maybe power. Why I've been able to survive is I just sorted everything out. So like power, most people complain of power. I have solar. So right now I'm running on batteries. I have solar installed in my house. The economy, I don't really deal like my business is mostly US, Canada, and co. So I don't really have to deal with the economy here. So a lot of people leave because of the economy and things like that. So most times I just say it's better if you can find a way to maybe get skills that would let you stay in a place that doesn't really have that high cost of living, but lets you get paid in the currency of wherever is still doing okay. I think if there's an option, it's always better. So that way you know that okay, you can always travel and all that, but you don't need to deal with the high rents and the high everything and everything. Then another thing I always say, people should, before you move anywhere, try probably getting a tourist visa, staying there for like maybe a week or two and see if it's really somewhere you want to move to. Because a lot of people sell everything they have to move, and they move and they realize they made a mistake and they can't go back.
Well, it's a lot of effort to go back, right? And it's really expensive. That's one thing I always say is you can always go back. It's just maybe you have to change what you went back to.
Yes.
But that's a really good point. I know I had a podcast with a guy called Grant, who was on a previous episode, and he was saying that the dream is to have the British lifestyle with the American salary, or the European like working conditions but the American salary, because it's like America is the next level.
Honestly, so it's something else. Because sometimes I just look at it, it's like they can actually just survive on their own. Everything, the very huge markets and everything, it's something else. It's really something else.
I know, but then there's no like holiday time.
That's the thing. You just walk till you die.
And if you can give someone advice to who's moving to the UK from anywhere in the world or Istanbul, what would it be? What kind of piece of advice would you give to someone moving to Coventry, Leicester, or Istanbul?
Okay, I think first of all, Istanbul, I would say just try and learn basic sentences in the language, as many as possible. Like, I want to go there, I want to get a taxi, learn the currency, just basic things so that you won't be like me. You will be like me. Then moving to the UK. Moving to the UK, I think one thing that's important is getting a support system. I know I mentioned that a lot of people mentioned that in the UK, especially when we move from somewhere like where it's communal and people know everybody, it feels like everyone is stuck up. So I would always say, don't be stuck up. Try and reach out, try and socialize, find ways to talk to people, because it actually gets depressing. One reason I left the UK quickly the first time I went there was that was the only time I remember in my life I was depressed, because I can't remember why. Yeah, that was the only time I remember. That was early 2014. So I think I'm trying to get a support system, a local support system. So try and make friends there. Try and go out to events. If church is your thing, you go to church. If gym is your thing, you go to the gym. If whatever, just try and get support system, because human beings, we are social. No matter how I'm an introvert, but I still say it. No matter how alone you want to be, we need each other to survive. We need each other to be normal. So yeah, try and get a support system, mix up, make friends.
No, I think that's a wonderful bit of advice. That's something we all need to really do. I think that's what I struggle with. Damn vitamin D. So I took tablets for that supplement in the winter. But also, yeah, you need to have a laugh. You need to go socialise, people play sport.
Yeah.
Or, share a common interest. It also just makes time go faster, which means you're not then alone for much longer.
Yeah. Because when you're alone, you just start living in your head. You just start going over negative things and things like that. It's something else.
Wonderful. Is there anything else you wish to kind of share about your time abroad before we kind of close the show?
One other thing I forgot to share when you asked if I'm advising people coming from my country to the UK, I think it's always to try and do it the proper way, because I know when there's a lot of people try to get tourist visas, short-term, maybe 6 months tourist visas, and try to stay back in the UK on these tourist visas, and to me, it's not worth it, because first of all, you won't be able to get any a job that will support you. It's really expensive to live there. You won't be able to get a job that will support you. You would always be looking over your shoulders. You would never be relaxed. You won't be able to come home, travel back and forth. You won't be able to explore freely, things like that. And so I always advise it's always better to do it properly. And apart from that too, the more when people do that, it always makes it difficult for others who want to genuinely visit to get their visas. Because I mentioned that I had to submit something like 2 inches wide, documents like 2 inches wide to travel. That was because visas get denied a lot, because there's this this thing that a lot of people want to just get the tourist visas and travel. Yeah. So if less people do that, I think it will make it easier for everyone. Because like part of the documents I submitted were property documents, business documents, emails, letters, tax documents, just so many things. And I think that scrutiny won't be there if everyone does things the right way.
It might make tourist visas cheaper, I imagine, as well, then, because it's...
Yeah, it is. I think the tourist visa used to be like $100 or so. Then the skilled worker visa, I think it's almost £1,000 or something. I can't remember.
Oh, wow. It's quite...
So the difference is tempting.
Yeah, but it's 10x, right? So thank you for spending your time this evening with me and gracing me with your knowledge of time abroad and how funny it is that we actually lived very close to each other at some point without realizing. That's shows how small the world actually is. And I really, really found it interesting about your experience of I guess the whole visa situation, what you just ended with in terms of the tourist visa, and I didn't know it was a common thing, but it sounds like it's quite a common thing that happens, and it's very interesting to see how the differences are in terms of the cost, and I guess I was quite lucky to have grown up with not needing, well, until Brexit, not needing visas, but then stupidly Brexit happened, and then now it's my the bane of my life. But yes, thank you for getting in touch and sharing with me and with everyone listening your story. I don't suppose you want to kind of plug your own podcast or anything else?
Oh, okay, yeah. So I think back in that was when I was in Leicester. I think I did a lot of research on traveling. So I set up there's this I was supposed to set up a job board. So most countries have this. Most of the countries in Europe and co, they have skills shortages. So they have sectors where there are skills shortages. So I set up a website, shortagejobs.com, where you should be able to come up and if you're qualified in one of those these things, you can search for jobs, apply for jobs if you intend to move to any country. And I think this week, I can't remember what last we posted was Poland, or I can't remember. So so different countries. So we put different opportunities from different countries on the website there. So every week there's a new country, a new opportunity for anyone who wants to legally move to a new place and is skilled, highly skilled in whatever they are doing. So that's shortagejobs.com. I think that's what I started in 2019. It's more of a side project to what I do, but I think I just didn't want all my research to go to waste.
No, right. That's great. I'll be sure to link it to the show notes, but also I'm currently building my own website for the podcast, and that'll be a great kind of addition to support the kind of what I want this podcast to be, which is a community. And having a job board will help, because this means I haven't got to do it. It exists through you. So I'll be sure to link it through my website as well.
Definitely. Thank you.
Awesome. Well, thank you for sharing your time, and thank you for listening to this podcast. If you did find something insightful or inspiring, please do let us know in the comments. Please do subscribe and follow the show for more amazing interviews and stories from great people. Please do listen to the next bit, which will be the quick fire questions, which will come out in a couple of days, or it might already be out if you're listening to this after it was released. And go listen to the kind of short form version of the podcast. And on that, we'll see you next time for the Expat Pod.